welcome back to my channel. I have a special guest here with me today, my husband. I brought him on because today I thought it would be helpful to kind of get his perspective on what it's like, you know, moving from Ethiopia to America and how to kind of be strategic in your thinking, you know. He's been here 13 years now. Is that right?
Yeah. 13 years.
Yeah, so, you know, it's not as long as some people, but I think it is a long enough time where we can, you know, share some of our lessons learned and our experiences. And I think it's an important time to share this information because, you know, America is great and it offered, I would say, a lot of opportunities. But I think that idea of America being the land of opportunity is coming to an end. You know, I don't think it is the same land of opportunity that it once was, and I think that there are more opportunities available now back home in Ethiopia and also, you know, in other African countries. So without getting too far into it, I'll let my husband get started and, you know, share a little bit of his experience with you guys.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me today. So I'm just really on this video I'm talking to Ethiopian diasporas, those who are just like me, who came to United States or America for better opportunities, right?
Or Europe.
Or Europe, yeah. And you know, coming here and want to do something, you know, great for themselves, for their children, and also back home. But most of us, we really sucked into American style, or, you know, the Western style, that going after things that we did not accomplish a lot of things that we wanted to accomplish back home, and now after 10 or 12 or 20 years later, and we're stuck, you know, and we don't know what to do with this life, or we don't know what to do, you know, moving back home and do something great. So we're really gonna talk about that today. From my experience, I want to share with you guys, and I've been here for 13 years, as you know, my wife mentioned, but I felt like 10 out of that 13 years I was sleeping. I felt like I was lost those 10 years because my mindset was wrong at the time, and I was pursuing a lot of things that did not really take me anywhere. You know, I spent my time, my money on things that I shouldn't. So when I first, you know, moved here, I will say this: almost not all of Ethiopians, I would say probably 99% Ethiopian diasporas. You know, for those who were born here as Ethiopian, it probably is very hard to understand because this is your culture, this is your country. But for those who came to the Western, like Europe or in the United States, for better life, better opportunities, in all of, I would say almost, all of Ethiopians, really in their heart, they want to do something in their home and back home in Ethiopia, right? It could be building your own house, you know, having your own land, or changing your family's life. You know, that's really something in us. I mean, I know I have a lot of friends here, and I talk to them all the time, and that's what they want. But a lot of them, they couldn't able to accomplish those things. The reason behind it, just like me, you know, when I first moved here, and you know, I went after things, right? Big house, you know, big car, you know, and it's spending on things that I didn't really need,
right.
You know. So
before you go further, did you feel when, like, we've had those things, we've had a big house and big cars and, you know, luxury cars. Did you feel fulfilled by those things? Like, by getting them, did you feel like you accomplished something great? Or, you know, what did you feel? What did
you know, at the time, I felt that is a big accomplishment for me. I felt that way because, you know, this is America. You know, I have my own house. You know, I have my own big car. You know, I have all of these things. So those, I felt, to me, that was the accomplishment. But I also knew in my heart, you know, back home, there's something is missing. You know, there's something is missing back home that I didn't really accomplish. So now I am in this situation where I have a mortgage, when I have a car note or a loan, and I have a credit card that I spend on with for a lot of, buying expensive TV or a couch or, things that I didn't really need. Now I am sucked into these loans that I can't come out of it,
right.
So that's really what a lot of Ethiopians are, and we got into these loans, and we can't go beyond that to do things back home.
Yeah, so it's kind of like an illusion, right? Like, it draws you in. It's like something that you desire and that you want, and that will draw you in. And then when you get into it, you kind of realize it's not everything that you thought it would be.
Yeah.
And like my husband said, like, now you have loans. Like, if you have a 30-year mortgage, you have 30 years that you need to keep paying for this house, or your car note for 5, 10, 15 years if they allow you.
Yeah.
To keep paying this stuff off.
Right. Exactly. So then I think it's after 10 years later, and I start realizing it. I was like, wait a minute, this cannot be just the life that I wanted. If America is a land of opportunity, I should be doing more with it. Like having a car, driving it, but every month I have to pay $500-$600, and I have to pay mortgage $2,000. Pretty much everything I make, it just goes to everything I have. I don't even own it. If I don't pay for the car, if I don't pay for the house, they're gonna come and take it. It belongs to the bank. It doesn't even belong to me. In Ethiopia, usually you just own everything. If you don't have, you don't have it.
Right.
If you have in cash, you buy land or you buy a house, you buy a car. If you don't have, you just walk or you ride a horse. You do those things because if it's no use, it's no use. That's the mindset. But coming here, it make us really think. I can just pay later. But that put us in a situation. I'm just talking from my experience. Put me in a situation where I got trapped. But the past 2 years, I started realizing it can't be this cannot be the life. I want to come out of this. I want to be a free man. So I start. We sold our cars and houses, and we came out of that debt, and start reading books. How can I take what the advantage that we have here? That's a personal loan. The credit line that you have on your credit card. How can I change that into investment? Right? You can still do those things. Those are opportunities that you can take the credit line or the credit that you have, and you can invest it into other things. So I
was just gonna say, even with the house that we bought and sold, I mean that was an investment. We went into debt and built equity, and while the market was still high, when we sold the house, we were able to use that money towards our land and house in Ethiopia, and
exactly.
So, but we didn't see that, and I know you're gonna get into that point.
Right.
We didn't see that until recently, and while you're in the debt, it puts additional stress and pressure on you.
Absolutely.
Where you feel like you have to keep working so hard in order to maintain those things, and at that time, he was working full-time, I was working full-time, and we had children, and we weren't living nearby family, so it just was like a hamster wheel, like you're just running on the wheel. You're exhausted, you're tired, and then you look at your bank account and wondering, where did all of that money go that I just worked so hard for, that I sacrificed time with my children for? Where's all that money? Like, yes, I can see the house, I can see the car, but there's nothing left in my bank account, like,
right.
or very little, I'm talking about before, not now. And so when we woke up and came to this realization, we started to see things differently.
Exactly. So, and we said it, we need a freedom. We can't be on this racing, where you just stuck and you can't come out of it. I know a lot of Ethiopians, as I mentioned earlier, those who've been here for 15, 20 years, they don't even have money in their pocket. 15, 20 years ago, if you want to buy a land, you can buy it in Ethiopia, probably an acre for very cheap price. 200 kare, probably 100,000 Ethiopian birr, or 200,000 Ethiopian birr. That's almost like $1,000, $2,000. Maybe say $5,000. Very cheap. But now it's millions of birr just to buy a lot.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I wish if I woke up 10 years ago, you know, if I really used the opportunity instead of buying that, you know, cars that I didn't really need, you know, that instead of paying $600 on my car, if I just bought something small and invested the rest of $500 into something else, I could be an investor today, you know?
Right.
So there are a lot of people, there are friends of mine who have been here for a long time, even they don't have $100 in their bank account. You know, there's a friend of mine who reached out to me and said, can you send me $100? You know, that's just sad, you know? So because we are trapped in this, instead of using the system to our advantage, we trapped into the system. So instead of we us running the system, and the system are running us.
Right.
And so to my friends in, you know, diasporas, Ethiopian diasporas, and I just want to say we have to wake up.
Yes.
You know, we really have to wake up, because America, I don't think America is the future. You know, I know Africa is the future. It doesn't seem like it, because there's, you know, the media talks about the war and the, you know, the famine and all of that. But, you know, big empires in history all came to pass, you know. So I really do believe, I have no doubt in my heart that Africa is the future, particularly is Ethiopia the future. So if you guys don't have any plan, you know, it's important for you guys to start planning it. You know, how can I go back home? You know, how can I purchase land? How can I, you know, buy a house? You know, how can I start? You know, start shrinking here.
Yeah.
The things that you have that is too much that you have here, start bringing it, shrinking it. Maybe, you know, selling the house that you have in the right time. Use that money towards your new investment, you know, in Ethiopia. Or the big car you're driving, $800, $900, maybe you don't need that. You know, maybe start selling that, buy something small, you know, start coming out of debt.
Right.
And once you start having that freedom, and you don't want to even go back.
Exactly.
Because that freedom is everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And this isn't financial advice, because we're not financial advisors. This is just the strategy that we use. Like, once we woke up, we realized, you know what? We don't need this huge house. We don't need these fancy cars. Like, we can reduce our expenses and invest more in Ethiopia, where the opportunities are growing, you know? And I think that is something that maybe you should consider as well, you know? Like, take a look at the things you have and really give yourself, like, reflect and say, do I really see myself living in America, living in Europe, and dying here? Like, I'm going to be here the rest of my life, so I don't need to worry about anything else. Or do you feel something inside of you that says, I'm not gonna die here. Like, this isn't my home. I'm gonna return back to my home, and I wanna have something there to return to. You know, if that latter thought is where you are and what you're thinking, start to build a strategy about how to make that exit. Do not focus so much on America that you lose sight of what is actually real, you know? Because the American dream isn't real. The house, the cars, like, those are all bought on loans for the most part, you know? And so focus on what is actually real, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's very true. You know, also, you know, I also want to, you know, talk to Ethiopians, you know, who lives in Ethiopia, and you know, sometimes when you maybe watch YouTube and the housing market or the land market in Ethiopia is very expensive nowadays, right? The reason they really do that, they are focusing on Ethiopian diasporas, you know, putting the house very, very high price on them. You know, it's very expensive sometimes because they're hoping that the diasporas will buy it. Right. So my advice to those Ethiopians who are watching in Ethiopia, those who are they put your house on sale, or they're going to put your house on sale, or the land, and please understand that, you know, all diasporas, all of us, really, we don't have that much money to buy that house, right. Like $500,000. You know, if Ethiopians have $500,000 here, or anyone here, really, usually most of the time we go into mortgage. That's why we don't have that money. That's why we have to get a mortgage from the bank, and to, you know, to pay every month for 30 years to live in that house. Mm-hmm. But so if we cannot able to even buy $500,000 dollar house in America, there's no way we'll buy that in Ethiopia.
Right.
So my advice to you as Ethiopian, we have to really help each other. We have to care for each other. We have to be fair when it comes to the housing market and the land market.
Right.
So our brothers and sisters who are here in the United States or in Europe, they can go back and able to purchase the land and the house with fair price. So that's just my advice. And we can't just put so high price on the land and the house and make discourage the diaspora who want to go back home and buy and want to live free life in Ethiopia.
Exactly.
That makes sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
There are people in the diaspora who want to buy those houses and who want to buy the land.
Right.
But when you put it at 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, they can't afford it. Most people in the diaspora cannot afford that to pay that with cash.
That includes us.
That includes us. It is out of reach for most people. And so, you'll be sitting there with that house and with that land, not able to sell it because the people in Ethiopia can't afford it and the people outside Ethiopia can't afford it, not with cash. And so, and even if we were to take a loan and pay $500,000, I don't even know if you could do this, but pay $300,000, $500,000 for a home or a piece of land in Ethiopia, that would still trap us in America, because that means now we got to stay here and keep working in order to pay back that loan, and that may take 30, 40 years to do, and then still you may never even make it back to Ethiopia in that time.
Absolutely.
Just I think what we're saying is just be understanding. Your brothers and sisters want to return home,
right?
And those prices are making it very difficult.
Absolutely. So so my last advice would be really for those who are here, just start thinking, just start looking forward to going back to Ethiopia. Maybe if you want to invest on the land or in a house, even if you cannot able to buy in the city, even if you buy outside of city land or house, the Addis is growing. Ethiopia is in general is really expanding. And the area when we bought our house, when we bought our land, there was nothing.
It wasn't in Addis.
It wasn't in Addis. It was outside of Addis. Now it became Addis, and also there was no any houses. Now, if you go back to that area, it's very even hard to even we can't even buy another land because it was so expensive.
Yeah,
things are changing. So even if you feel like Addis is expensive in the city, even if you buy outside of Addis with a fair price, Addis is growing. And as people are moving back and the city is expanding, it'll be in a good position. But if you don't act right now, it's the time to act really right now, because it'll become probably out of reach later on. You might say 5 years from now, I wish if I bought it 5 years ago. Things might be even more higher 5 years from now. So just my advice, just start examining yourself, your heart, listen to your heart, and assess your situation. And just go for it. That's really my advice.
Yeah, so that's all we have for you guys today. We just wanted to share our experience with you and really just encourage you guys. We'll be praying for you, and please pray for us. And together I think we can accomplish great things. So thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys in the next one.
All right. Thank you guys.